A stranger among pharaohs. He came not with an army, but in chains. Sold by his own brothers, stripped of kin and home, a young Hebrew boy crossed the desert and entered Egypt, not as a prince, nor a prophet, but as a slave. His name was Joseph, and his story, told in sacred texts, echoed in oral traditions, and hinted at in dusty papyri, would become the cornerstone of a people's identity and one of the greatest cultural bridges between the Israelites and the ancient Egyptians. But was Joseph merely a figure of faith? Or was his tale rooted in history, veiled behind allegory and time? Joseph in Egypt. The beginning of the Hebrew story. The historical and mythical roots of the Israelites in the land of the Nile. Egypt, a land of power and opportunity. By the 19th century BCE, Egypt was a flourishing superpower. Its borders stretched from Nubia in the south to the edges of Canaan in the northeast. It was a land of bureaucratic order, towering temples, and vast granaries, a beacon to surrounding tribes during times of famine. To Egypt's eastern borders, waves of Semitic tribes, known collectively by the Egyptians as Asiatics, had long journeyed across the Sinai, sometimes peacefully as traders and laborers, and at other times as invaders or migrants escaping hardship. This movement was neither sudden nor singular, but part of a centuries-old ebb and flow between the desert and the Nile. One such migration, according to the book of Genesis, brought Jacob's descendants into Egypt, a clan of shepherds led by famine and fate. But their arrival, as the text claims, was no ordinary one. Joseph, the Hebrew who ruled Egypt? The narrative of Joseph is strikingly Egyptian in tone, texture, and setting. A young Hebrew, gifted in dreams, sold into slavery by jealous brothers, rises to become vizier, second only to Pharaoh, due to his ability to interpret the king's dreams, organizes grain storage before a great famine, reunites with his family, and settles them in the Land of Goshen. This tale, though shaped by religious tradition, contains elements uncannily consistent with Egyptian administrative and political structures. The title given to Joseph, Zaphenath-Paneah, resembles Egyptian naming patterns. His role in grain collection during famine aligns with practices known from the Middle Kingdom, especially under Amenemhat III. The appointment of foreign-born officials, especially during Hyksos or weak dynastic periods, was not uncommon. Some scholars, like Kenneth Kitchen, argue that the Joseph narrative reflects authentic Egyptian context, possibly from the Second Intermediate Period, c. 1700 to 1550 BCE, when Semitic peoples held influence in the Delta. Avaris, city of the Semites. Perhaps the strongest archaeological link to the Joseph story lies in the ruins of Avaris, the capital of the Hyksos, located in modern-day Tel el-Daba in the eastern Nile Delta. Excavations led by Manfred Bitak revealed a Semitic population settled there during the 18th–17th centuries BCE. Houses constructed in Levantine style. Tombs with Asiatic burial customs. Egyptian-style palaces alongside Semitic architecture. In one tomb, archaeologists discovered a statue of a Semitic man with a multicolored coat and red hair, unusually large in size and clearly honored. Yet no name was inscribed. Could this be a memory, if not a monument, of a real Joseph-like figure? While there's no definitive inscription saying, "Here lies Joseph," the convergence of Semitic presence, high status, and Egyptian honor in the region of Goshen supports the plausibility that the Joseph story echoes real movements and memories of Semitic rise in Egypt. Myth or memory? A historian's dilemma. To historians, Joseph's story sits at the crossroads of myth and memory. There is no direct Egyptian record of a Hebrew vizier named Joseph, but this is unsurprising, as Egyptian texts rarely record the names of foreign commoners or disgraced officials. Biblical narratives were written centuries after the supposed events, shaped by theological aims more than documentary precision. Yet, patterns of Semitic migration, famine relief systems, and the political fluidity of the Second Intermediate Period all match the general contours of the Joseph tale. In essence, Joseph may not have been a single historical figure, but a composite memory of Semitic integration, elevation, and legacy within ancient Egyptian society. Goshen, a place between two worlds. The land of Goshen, where Joseph settled his family, is widely believed to refer to the eastern delta, likely overlapping with Avaris. Here, Semitic shepherds could thrive far from the religious and political heart of Egypt. It was both a shelter and a separation, a place on the margin of empire, between assimilation and identity. It is in this liminal zone that the roots of the Hebrew presence in Egypt were planted, peacefully, perhaps even prosperously, long before the chains of bondage began to rattle. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, give it a like. It helps more people discover hidden history like this. Subscribe for more untold stories from ancient Egypt and share this video with someone who loves history. This was just the beginning. See you in the next episode.